Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint Body Shop Dalton Ramsey Show, where we cover everything on the diamond with the South Green Rebels baseball team. As always, joined here with head coach Dalton Ramsey. Coach,
what's going on?
How's it going?
Can't complain.
A little bit of a quick turnaround this week.
It was quick.
Did the last interview on Thursday, here on Monday again.
Well, not here, but at Cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and just talk about kind of what's happened between then. We had a few games, of course, that we were hoping to talk about. Again, the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what to expect in April. You always
Crazy.
expect a few cancellations. Unfortunately, it came at the wrong time during the Buddy Hawk Classic this year. You weren't able to compete in any of the Buddy Hawk Classic games this year. Talk to us about what went into the weekend and how you weren't able to play anything.
Yeah, so, I mean, the original plan was for us to play, 3 games here at South Green, or play 2 games here at South Green, and it kind of got washed out here. I mean, you can still kind of see the aftermath of it. I mean, there's still wet spots on the field. I mean, it was only thing that was showing here at home plate was the home plate itself. I mean, it was completely underwater. So, luckily, they were able to mix it around a little bit. I think they ended up playing a couple games down at Morristown East and moving a couple games around.
Cherokee was a host site.
So, I mean, it's a good thing that they got it moved around, and it helped them out a little bit. But, no, the times that they had set for us just wasn't working out for us. We had some guys that were traveling, some guys that were needing to go some other places, and it just we wouldn't have enough to play in those games. So we decided to go ahead and just drop out of the tournament at that point, and which kind of sucked because we didn't get no games last week. But at the end of the day, other than Hampton, but
yeah.
Other than that, we didn't get no games over the weekend, so it kind of set us back a little bit from being able to play the game. But the good news is we got out there and got to practice a little bit, and we got to hit a little bit, so that was good news for us.
We talked about last week how you had such a long layoff between games, between the Hampton game on Monday and then all the way until potentially the Friday game that you had originally scheduled with University High. Now you've got an even longer stretch between games now because you had Hampton on Monday, and now all the way until this Thursday with North Green. That's I think, 10-day layoff between games. So when you have a 10-day layoff between games like that, what do you kind of do to kind of simulate games and kind of avoid that rust on the field?
Yeah, so a lot of the practice plans that we're going to do is be game-like situations.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we can come into practice and we can practice hitting or we can practice fielding every day. But the thing that we need to focus on the most, with this 10-day layover is, we need to focus on in-game, game-like scenarios. So a really good way we can do that is, some live ABs, some inter-squadding, scrimmaging a little bit. Just making everything as game-like as we possibly can. So that's our goal for this week's practice. We don't play this week until Thursday and Friday. So, we're hoping that we can get some good practice in for these 3 days and be prepared to play for the weekend.
Speaking of practice too, you're going to have a lot of practice between now and then. What goes into a practice?
I mean, for us especially, a lot of times I'll start off the morning by texting the coaches and my assistant coaches and asking, is there anything from the games that we want to work on? Baseball is one of those sports that as soon as the season starts, it's nonstop for 2 months, 2 to 3 months. And, it's one of those things that you have very limited time to practice unless your schedule works out the way it does for us this year. So one thing that I think we focus on the most is, like I said, game-like situations. But the thing that we can do the most is look back at the games that maybe we've had a couple more errors and what's caused those errors and stuff that we can work on. And especially here close to the district tournament, being able to work on those things and perfect them before going into the district tournament. So
that's pretty much all I got on the first half. It's tough when you got nothing. You've got such a long layoff between games, and even if we did one now, even if we waited until Wednesday, there still wouldn't be any games to talk about. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with a spring sport in the month of April,
it's one of those things.
It's bound to happen. So
it's one of those things. So it's like today. Today's a beautiful day out here, and who knows? Maybe next week it could be thunderstorms and lightning all week long. So
we're cracking 80. It was 81 earlier today. I think it says 77 at the moment, but it feels hotter than that.
Oh,
but
that sun's beating down today. It'll be a good little practice today.
Not often have I ever had a coach's show where I come in and can't talk about games, but sometimes that happens. It even happens during basketball season also, whenever you have snow and you don't have school for a week. But glad to get one in. Nothing to really talk about on the first half. Got a little bit to talk about on the second half, though, so stick with us. We'll talk about the upcoming games for the Rebels right after this break here on Grassroots Media.
At Corner Pond, the friendly and knowledgeable staff has the experience necessary to help you out regardless the need. Have an item of value you'd like to pawn or sell? Corner Pond can help. They pawn numerous items of value, including firearms, tools, ammunition, silver, coins, and much more. When you walk through their doors, you'll find well-stocked shelves full of electronics, gaming systems, fishing and hunting equipment, car audio and accessories. And don't forget about the room full of guitars and basses and amplifiers, or their outside lawn and garden equipment. Corner Pond is a case knife dealer and carries numerous used knives as well. Stop by and let the friendly staff at Corner Pond help you today at 432 East Bernard Avenue, Greenville, Tennessee. For more than 30 years, Tommy's Plumbing has served customers in East Tennessee with licensed and professional plumbing services. From installing your new faucet to replacing your existing piping system, our team at Tommy's Plumbing is trained to handle the job with professionalism, attention to detail, and integrity. By offering warranties on most products installed by our technicians, Tommy's Plumbing stands behind our work, ensuring that your plumbing needs are not only met, but that your problem is solved for the long term. When you need reliable and professional plumbing service, Tommy's is the only call to make. So give us a call today and let us show you the Tommy's difference.
Welcome back to Grassroots Media. Welcome back to this week's edition of the Gary's Paint and Body Shop Dalton Ramsey Show, where we cover everything out here on the diamond with the South Korean Rebels baseball team. As always, joined here with Rebels head coach Dalton Ramsey. So we've got a little bit to talk about this time around.
Yep.
We've got 2 games later on in the week. You've got North Green on Thursday, Unicoi County on Friday, both on the road, both at 5 o'clock at the visiting location. So take me through what you've got later on this week and what you can expect.
Yeah, so, I mean, Unicoi, well, let's start with North Green. North Green, played them in a scrimmage, got a couple of runs, was very happy with our performance in the scrimmage. We turn around and play them here in the season. Ended up not having the outcome that we wanted. Played a decent game, just didn't tie it all together like we should have there towards the end. Didn't put the game away like we should have. So it's going to be a really big accomplishment if we get a win on Thursday. We got to push through some adversity that we got coming up and be able to bounce over that hill. And if we do that, then we should be fine. Then going up to Unicoi County, that's another game far away. Unicoi is actually coming into our conference next year, so it's an opportunity for us to see what they've got. Very solid squad, through and through. I know they've got a couple guys this year, sitting low 80s, and then they have a couple guys sitting upper 80s. I mean, they're throwing good baseball right now, and they can hit the ball very well. We played them early in the season, very first game of the season. That was our home opener, and they're playing some really good baseball right now. And so it'll be a tough competition for us, but if we come in with the right mindset, we come in with the right mentality, I think we have a good chance of competing with them very well.
You beat me to it also. I was going to mention how they were joining the conference next year, so that's good that you've got them on the schedule this year to kind of get a sneak peek of what you'll expect next year, because, of course, you'll continue playing them for the foreseeable future. But how was that a plan going into the season?
It was
well,
a little
you really
bit.
didn't know.
We didn't know 100%. There was rumors of it, so we have been trying to schedule Unicoi for a while now, and it was actually just kind of one of those things that it worked out in our favor that's what was going down. It wasn't planned for the intention that we 100% knew. There was a rumor of it, didn't mean that it was going to happen, so finally when it happened, we was able to finally say yes, that's what it was for. So it was a good opportunity for us to play a really good team.
Help me understand as an outsider looking in, when do the schedules have to be submitted?
We usually start the week after district tournaments.
Okay.
Whenever we start scheduling games.
Yeah.
Schedules do not have to be in until March.
Okay.
So usually what happens with that, you'll have your initial schedule. We'll figure out conference schedule here in the next week or so for next year, and then after that we'll just start deciding the non-conference games that you want to play and kind of working those into your schedule. And it's kind of one of those things that you just start calling. You just start calling until eventually you get your schedule filled up. I mean, high school baseball is allowed 30 games in a season, so it's one of those things that you try to fill up at least the rest of your schedule close to that 30 mark as you can, just so you can have the maximum amount of games to be prepared going into postseason. You
really didn't know that Unicoi was going to be joining your conference until after you already had them on the schedule. Correct. Too. So knowing that you get to play them both early in the season and later in the season, kind of where in conference, that kind of happens sometimes. You play some conference games maybe the third weekend of the season, and you don't see them for the rest of the year until maybe the district tournament. So you get Unicoi to open the season, get them here at the tail end of the season. How much is that going to benefit you having them on both halves of the season and just playing them in general, knowing that could be the case going down the road?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things, obviously there's different outlining factors. I mean, there's injuries that could happen. There's kids that could stop playing and stuff like that. I mean, there's outside factors to that. But at the same time, you get to see kind of how they adapt throughout the season. So, we saw their very first game, maybe early first week game that they've played. And then now we're getting to see them there towards the end and see how much they've improved, adapt, and changed throughout the season. And so it's a good opportunity for us to see what they can do, and a good opportunity for us to see what they have coming up.
It's crazy that the season's winding down to the point it's at right now.
It is. Here in 2 weeks we'll be starting district tournament.
It's crazy.
That's insane considering that we just started about a month ago.
Yeah, and we're only on the third interview of this year's edition or this year's series.
That sounded good.
Anyway, like I was saying, we're only in the third edition of this year's series, and here soon, I mean, we could potentially be halfway over. I hate it.
Yep.
Baseball season's so short. We have to tend to basketball before we get into baseball. Maybe we'll get into baseball during basketball season next year. It's tough because you're on the road at Murfreesboro, but we'll see. That's my fault that we've only had a short amount of shows this year, but hopefully you'll make it to Regions again. Hopefully that'll give us an extra 2 shows down the road.
That's the goal. That's the goal we have going into the postseason. If we can do it, and we'll achieve one of our goals that we have this season.
Hey, get hot right now.
You know what's crazy? That vehicle wasn't even going that fast.
No, it wasn't. But that's all we've got, Coach. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you all for watching this week's edition of the Gary's Paint Body Shop Dalton Ramsey Show. Look forward to seeing you next time here on Grassroots Media.
Thank you.